now rocking with the best. Who's the boxing show that's knocking out the competition? The kick-ass podcast that make you want to listen. The place where boxing fans and fighters rejoice. Thumbs up for Richie, you're listening to the fighter's voice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Richard Ortiz, your host of the Fighter's Voice podcast. We got a great show for you lined up today. With us, by way of Zoom, we have two-division world champion, Hall of Famer, trainer. I mean, before I go on and on, I just got to give this guy an introduction. I mean, a colorful record when he said it was all said and done of 73 wins, 6 losses, 1 draw with 48 KOs. Inducted into International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2002, he was Trainer of the Year. My audio's going in and out. Ladies and gentlemen, James Buddy McGirt. My audio's going in and out. How you doing, buddy? I got no audio here.
Yourself?
How's everything going?
I can't complain, just grinding every day.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the grind, and I appreciate your patience, man. We kind of dropped the ball today with our audio, but we're going to make sure that we get the show up and running and going. Buddy, I got so many questions, man. But first of all, those who don't know who James Buddy McGirt is, I want the whole world to know exactly. Because I could just go into, hey, how's training going? What do you got coming up? But let's start off with, a lot of people think that your first name is Buddy. And it's actually your nickname. Your first name is James. Can you tell us where you got the nickname from, Buddy?
Well, my real nickname is Little Bud. So people that I grew up with call me Little Bud. My cousins call me Little Bud. None of them call me Buddy. You know what I mean? A friend of mine started calling me Buddy when I was about 15, and then it just went from there. But family and my nephews and my nieces, they call me Uncle Bud. They don't call me Uncle Buddy. It's Bud. My father was Big Bud. I was Little Bud.
There you go. Who calls you James in your family? Does anybody close friends call you James?
I have some friends. A guy named Brian Adams. He does it to bust my chops.
There's always that guy.
Yeah, but everybody calls me Bud or Buddy.
There you go. And now the world knows all about that. Why the sport of boxing? I mean, you were very athletic in high school. Could have played anything. You could have went to a D1 college if you wanted to. Why the sport of boxing?
Well, I in school, to be honest with you, in school, I didn't play any sports. My son was the one that was the.
There
athlete.
you go, Junior. There you go. Very athletic. And your
my
daughter's
son was
a great soccer player too.
Thank you. I have 2 daughters that play soccer as well. But me, myself, I was too small for any other sports. I tried Little League football, and the crazy thing was I was defensive cornerback because I had good speed. But the problem I had with that was I was too small, 1, and 2, they could not find a helmet that could fit me correctly. Because my head was so damn big, and with an afro, it made it even bigger. So, every 2 or 3 plays, I had to loosen my helmet because I was getting headaches. And one day I was standing outside in the cold in a football game. I'm like, you know what? This ain't for me. I'm going back to the boxing gym. So when it was halftime, I gave the coach my shoulder pads and helmet, and I walked home.
Made a decision.
And never looked back.
Made a decision right then and there.
Right. I was standing out there in the cold. It was raining. I'm like, I could be in a hot boxing gym, not out here in this damn cold. And I waited till halftime, and that was it.
What made you get into boxing? What was the first introduction? I mean, were you a student of the game? Did you watch it? Were you inspired by somebody, or would you fed a nice appetite in the gym?
What happened? I had a cousin who boxed, and he lives in Jersey. He was an amateur boxer. He was wearing the Golden Gloves, and my uncle was always bragging about him. Every time we went there, my uncle was bragging. Whenever they came over, my uncle was bragging. So I'm like, let me try this boxing out. So we have a center in in my neighborhood in Brentwood. It's called the Brentwood Recreation Center. And that's where a lot of kids went, after they got out of school to hang out, play basketball, lift weights, play volleyball, play air hockey. it was a recreation to get something the kids to do. And I was down there, and upstairs, everybody from the neighborhood was playing basketball, and they had professional boxing downstairs. So I went downstairs and I watched the boxing. And then one day, one of my friends asked the trainer, his name was Gene Moore. He goes, "How come you don't have kids?" And he goes, "Well, kids are starting next week, but you got to be 12 years old." So I said, "Well, what day does it start?" He goes, "January 17th. I said, "Well, that's my 12th birthday." He says, "Well, I'll see you next week."
There you go.
And that morning, I was raised Catholic, so that morning I had to go to religion. And then after religion, I walked to the recreation center and I joined boxing. Like, religion was over at 10, boxing joined at 11. So it was just something that was just meant to be, because I walked from the church to the gym, and here we are now.
Man, that's an early religion right there. I mean, you're off at 10. I mean, there you go. So when you went in the gym, I mean, did you pick it up naturally?
Yeah.
Or
Yes, I did. I picked it up naturally. I mean, I started boxing January 17th, and my first fight was February 21st, 1976. And I started January 17th, 1976. I fought a guy named Ricky Randazzo, and we fought to a draw.
did you know right then and there, okay, this is going to be a long career for me? Being you
Yes,
were going to embrace it.
I was so excited that I went home that night with my hand wraps on.
Oh, there you go.
And I still have that trophy.
Wow. Now I got to ask you this, because we're going to get into it later. Did you wear the high socks even back then?
Yeah. I wore the high socks because when I was young, I had a bad rash on my legs, and I had bad nerves, to be honest. I had an abusive stepfather to my mom, and he used to beat my mom. And I had bad nerves, and I just broke out with these sores on my legs. So I used to wear the high socks to cover it up because I was embarrassed.
I would have never known that, because that was very stylistic on your part. I mean, that was you. I mean, Buddy McGirt with the high socks.
But that's the reason why I won. I never told anybody growing up, but that's the real reason I won, because I was embarrassed by my legs. I mean, they're gone, but I still have scars on little scars on my legs, because the doctor told me I would have some type of scars for the rest of my life.
Buddy, I met you at the MGM ground about a decade ago. You just happened to be passing by, and I remember you were with, I believe it was your wife, and I said, all I remember is you and your high socks. And I remember you started laughing as you went to the elevator. So only you knew back then exactly why you wore them and what stuck with us, the fans and the followers, because we always known Buddy McGirt with those high socks. And that was you, man.
I get people now, and they say, "Buddy McGirt, you wore those high socks." I'm like, yeah. And then a few years ago, when Vince Carter was playing basketball, Vince Carter was on the court with the high socks.
That's right. I mean, hey, it opens doors, man. It really does. And you had your style, your unorthodox style, and I want to just dive right in. When you won your second bout against Simon Brown, I mean, that kind of set the tone for the legendary Buddy McGirt. It was like the second time around was just, you were not going to let it go. That's Pernell Whitaker, Simon Brown. You were not going to let it go. I mean, it's like you embraced it more than the first one.
Yes, because I understood it more. Like, the first time I won the title, I was like, how can I put it? When I first won the title, during the fight, mentally I went to a zone that it took me 3 days to come down from. I was in the zone for like 3 days. When I was at speaking engagements, I would be falling, I'd be like out of it, because my mind was just still in that fight. So then after that, everything just started happening quickly. A few months later, I had my first title defense, and then right back to back. So I really didn't get to appreciate and enjoy being world champion. And I said to myself, when I get a chance again, I'm going to appreciate it more, and I'm going to respect it more.
embrace
Because
it.
it's just as quick as you can get it, you can lose it just as quickly.
Hey man, I've talked to a lot of champs, a lot of former champions, and I talked to them in the middle place before they regain that belt again. And it's like the second time, buddy, they just hold on to that thing and they're saying, you know what, I know what it takes to get there, and I'm not going to make the same mistake I did to lose it, or I'm going to prepare myself, or whatever the case is. Sometimes it's just the better man, or sometimes the judges don't see the things that we do inside of the ring.
You know, I learned that you work hard to get it. Now I got to work double hard to keep it. It took me losing the title to really understand that.
You know,
and then when I came back the second time, I was a little more patient approaching the fight and after the fight. Like, I wasn't like anxious to say, give me a fight next month. I said, let me sit back and enjoy this for a while.
Exactly. Enjoy the fruits. Now, I mean, you beat Livingstone Bramble, you know, and he was just, you know, coming off, you know, the whole Boom Boom Mancini thing going, and, you know, you fought the best in your era, and you didn't have to fight Pernell Whitaker, but you chose to fight him twice. You truly believed, because I remember in an interview, you said, I want this guy, and you fought him. It was very competitive, and I'm being honest with you. I was rooting for you, man. Both fights.
Thank you.
I really was. Back then, I was.
Growing up as a kid, when I was watching boxing on TV, all the champions fought the best. They didn't handpick their opponents. They fought the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I felt, to be respected as a champion, you got to fight the best. And that's why I did. You know, I mean, I fought guys that I didn't have to, but I wanted to, because I said I want to be recognized as one of the best. You know what I mean? I don't want to be recognized as a guy that dug people. I want to be recognized as a guy that win, lose, or draw, I fought the best. And that's something they can never take away from me.
No. I want to ask you this, and then I want to get a comparison, and then we're going to move on. How fast were Maldrick Taylor's hands?
I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember. He hit me so much, I totally forgot.
I guess we could chuckle about that one. You know, a matchup that never took place, because they were stablemates, but the world wanted to see Maldrick Taylor against Pernell Whitaker. How do you think that fight would have happened? How do you think it would have developed, and what do you think would have happened? Pernell
beats him.
The late, great Pernell Whitaker, yes.
Yes, God bless him.
What did you learn off those fights, and what was it like being in the ring with such a person with great footwork?
Well, you know, with Pernell, the first fight, I went in with an injury, but I was told I wasn't injured. I found out after the fight that from the doctor that I was injured all along, that I was lied to by my managers and the doctors. And I mean, he won it, but, you know, I lost by a point, 2 points, whatever the case may be. And
very close fight.
And when I found that out about my managers, you know, doing that to me, because it was said that it was a career-ending injury. So they said, you know, they were told, get the payday, because the kid will never fight again. But you know, I mean, I got injured in 1990, and I ruptured my bicep tendon. They told me I wouldn't fight again. I came back 6 months later and fought.
Yep.
And then I won a title again within that year. Then when Pernell, after the first Pernell fight, Ross Greenberg from HBO called me and recommended this doctor in New York, and Dr. David Olchek. He worked for the Mets, you know, baseball players. So when I went to him, they told me that was it. But I says, no, I gotta come back and prove everybody wrong. And I came back 6 months later, and within a year, I fought Nick Rooper. After Nick Rooper, I fought Jesse James Hughes, and I fought Livingston Bramble, Kevin Pompey, and Pat Coleman. And then I had the rematch with Pernell Whitaker. All that in a year. But here's the crazy part. When I fought Pat Coleman. I won a split decision. When I went back to the dressing room, they told me you have to rematch with Pernell. And I started crying. And my wife's like, "Why are you crying?" Says, "I don't want to fight no more." She's like, "What?" I said, "That's it." I said, they told me I couldn't do it. I came back within a year. I did it. The fire's not there no more. So she said, "Well, quit." So I said, "Let me think about it." So, they told me I had to fight. I went to the press conference. I did all that. But in my mind, I didn't want to fight anymore. And then when I went home, I was home. And I got a letter in the mail from my uncle. All of our uncles. His name was Uncle Sam. He said, "You owe us some money, young fella."
Put that fire back in you.
So I said, "There goes my retirement." So I came back. I had to pay Uncle Sam. And I just went through the motions, not taking nothing away from Pernell.
Yeah.
That night he was on point. He did everything he's supposed to do. But that's just the reality of it. I didn't want to fight anymore, but I was in a situation where I had no choice.
Well, I'll tell you this, buddy. I did watch that rematch, and that wasn't the Buddy McGirt that went in the first fight. That definitely wasn't at all. And see, I didn't even know the story.
And my wife was telling me every day, "Bud, you can figure it out with Uncle Sam. Don't worry about it." I said, "Nah, babe, I got to get these people off my back. I got to get them off my back. Because once they get on you, that's it."
Yeah.
And so I just, I said, "Look, I'm not going to get hurt in the fight, so I'm not worried." But I went out the first 2 rounds. I shot my load, and that was it. I was done after the second round. I knocked him down, and he got up, and I saw him bouncing. I said to myself, "You're in trouble." The gas tank was dry, and there was no gas stations along the way.
Well, hey, man, you mixed it up not just once, but twice with Pernell Whitaker. Has there ever been a fighter that you were close to signing to fight, but it never happened, never progressed?
Well, it was talk about me fighting Chavez when I beat Simon Brown, but that's all it was talk. Nothing ever transpired, no contracts. But they kept saying I was going to fight Chavez if I beat Simon Brown, I could fight Chavez, but it never materialized.
Is there anybody that you wish you would have shared the ring with during your time?
Oh, definitely Chavez. He was the man, so that's the guy I wanted to fight.
Just mentally thinking about that, and you see this guy, Julio Cesar Chavez, what does it do for a fighter mentally? Like, okay, I know I have to really bring up my up game, or, I see some things that might work in there. What does it do to a fighter?
Well, it's like the bigger the challenge, the better.
Yeah.
If you're competitive, you want to go in there and lay it all on the line. And, I just said I want that fight because I know I can beat him. I thought Pernell beat him easy, but they called it a draw. Meldrick was winning until he got stopped. So, I knew that I felt in my heart that I can beat him because not only could I outbox him, but I could punch.
Mm-hmm.
Meldrick and Pernell went big punches. I could punch with my left hook. And if you slip the left hook, I might touch up with the right hand a little bit.
It makes it around.
Yeah, but I knew for him I would have to be in extra shape because he puts pressure and he digs that body, man.
Frankie Randall, I should talk to Frankie Randall. True story. I used to always call Don King's training camp. And Frankie Randall would always answer the phone, and we would always talk all the time. And he told me, after he beat Edwin Rosario, he said, "I'm going to fight Julio Cesar Chavez, and when I fight him, I'm going to do this to him, and this to him." And every fighter says that. But he meant it. And come fight time, He did every single thing that he said he would do. We would talk like maybe 9 months before he got in the ring with Julio, before it was even a signed deal.
Frankie could fight, man. I mean, you know, he didn't have the best record, but Frankie Randall could fight.
Yep.
I mean, nobody wanted to fight Frankie Randall.
No, he can bang.
There's somebody calling my phone.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who it is.
Could be a fight. Hey, you could answer live on the show.
Huh?
You could answer live on the show if it's another fighter or somebody.
It looks like a business call.
Oh, okay.
So I'll call them back.
Okay. Appreciate that, man. Now, let's talk about today's fighters now. Today's fighters. I'm gonna throw some matchups out there. Somebody put a matchup out there last night, and I said, you know what? That's a great matchup. How would Tommy the Hitman Hearns do against Felix Trinidad?
Interesting. Whoever landed the first bomb wins.
That's a good fight, and that's a yeah. They got about the same chin, I would say, with standing. Now, how about Sugar Ray Leonard and Pernell Whitaker?
I gotta go with Ray. Tough fight though, but I gotta go with Ray.
Why do you go with Sugar Ray?
Ray could fight, man. Ray was one of the best.
Boxer puncher.
And Ray was mean, man. Ray was mean. I mean, Ray was a mother skunk, man. Ray was the man.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, he'd set traps, man, like any other fight. I've never seen a fighter in my whole as watching. Sugar Ray Leonard set a lot of traps. You never knew if he was hurt, if he was a ploy, or what he was doing. He'd give one round away just because he knew you were going to bite the next round, and he had you. Just like a pitcher would waste a couple pitches just to get you on the outside.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
Now, here's one. Roberto Duran and Money Mayweather.
Roberto Duran.
Why would you say Duran?
Better fighter.
Duran is mean. Duran is one of the meanest fighters in the world.
Duran was not only was he mean, he was smart. One of the best inside fighters. He got a good chin. I mean, Duran without a doubt.
Now, here's one right here. Canelo and James Toney at 168.
Wow, that's tough. I got to go with James.
Very smart. James Toney is very smart.
Depends on which James Toney. The lazy James Toney or the on-point James Toney. If it's the on-point James Toney, James Toney.
Actually, James Toney takes him apart.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, hey, I wanted to hear it from yourself, and these were just some matchups that I came up with. And, you know, I'm going to put the promoter hat on you. I usually do this with our guests. You're promoter now. What match would you put together? It doesn't matter, any era.
You know what? I can't even answer that because I stay away so far from the word promoter, you have no idea.
Okay, matchmaker then. We'll say matchmaker.
I matched Ray Leonard and Floyd Jr.
Okay. What does Buddy McGirt see himself in 5 years from now? Still involved in the sport of boxing?
If God's willing, yes.
What is your ultimate goal as a trainer?
You know, I just, I love the sport, man. I mean, it's been in me since I was 12 years old. So, and that's 46 years. I'm 58 now. So, it's in my blood, man. And I just feel that, you know, if I can help any of these young guys accomplish their goals and dreams in life, I mean, I would be happy.
You know, when your fighters
on the knowledge.
Exactly. When your fighters get a big victory, when the camera's going Buddy McGirt is very humble and very quiet because it belongs to the fighter. And I've heard other trainers saying, "Oh, we want this guy," and they start calling him out like they're the manager. But you're always humble and you're always focused.
Because they put in the work. I mean, we work together as a team, but at the end of the day, they took all the punishment. So it's not I had my turn. I had a great time. Now it's their turn.
Name, okay. If you were to fight today, one time, God was going to give you the fountain of youth. One last time. What 3 trainers would be in your corner if you could have 3 today?
Today?
Yes.
Wow. Next question.
Okay, that's a tough one. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, we know some friends that are in the business and feelings get hurt. Feelings get hurt. But yeah, okay. I've been asked something similar to that too, and I had to say, okay, yes, next question. Now, out of all your fighters that you've been involved with that have come through your gym, without asking which is the most talented, I want to ask, which is one of your hardest workers out there that even motivates you, that just is that fire for all the fighters in there? Like, I'll give you an example. The Kronk gym, Tommy Hearns was known as Big Daddy because that was his gym. What fighter in your gym lights that fire for everybody?
I got this middleweight named Johnny Beck. I can't pronounce his last name. He's from Kazakhstan, but he is the next superstar. Good Lord willing, he stays dedicated like he is. Next superstar.
Hey, and that's coming from someone who's been around the sport forever. What does boxing need today compared to yesterday? What does it need today, buddy?
I don't even want to get into that. First of all, it's not a sport no more. It's a business.
Very well said. I agree with you.
So it needs to go back to being a sport, and everything else will fall into place.
You know what? I'm going to second you on this. Marriage isn't a marriage any longer. Marriage is a business.
So that's my idea. My thoughts on the boxing thing.
No, I agree with you. Now, is it out of the question for Canelo, you think, when it's all said and done, to be recognized as the best Mexican fighter of all time, surpassing Julio Cesar Chavez, Salvador Sanchez, Ricardo Lopez?
But it's hard to say with Salvador because he died young.
Yes. Very talented, too.
Yes, very. One of the greats.
Yes.
I mean, but I have to give Canelo his props as of right now. I got to give it to him.
What does he have that's different from all the rest of the Mexican fighters traditionally?
Well, he stays in the gym, and he's very smart in that, man. He makes adjustments well. He can put pressure. He can box. He can do it all. I mean, I got to really give it to him, man. He's the man right now. I got to give him his props.
What do you say to all the people that say that he cherry picks his opponents or he's not fighting the tough opponents? And this goes back to where we said boxing is a business now.
There you go. You just answered the question.
These are just questions coming in, but, hey,
right.
we can answer them together. Exactly. Hey, Fresno, California, you had a fighter on the undercard of the return of Jose Ramirez. First of all, how did Fresno treat you, and what do you think of Fresno?
And Fresno's nice, it's just real different. That's all I can say. It's different. Like, I was in the car, we was riding around, and it's just different. It's hard to explain, but it's different. I didn't think I was in California when I was in Fresno.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I parked my car in Fresno. I'll say that, But I support Fresno. And what'd you think of Jose Ramirez's fight?
To be honest, I was busy talking. I really didn't watch much of it.
No, hey, you're keeping it 100. Now let me ask you this: if there was a rematch clause and he was getting ready to fight Josh Taylor again, what adjustments would Jose have to make to be successful in the second time around?
I don't know. There's always that one guy that has your number, and I think Josh Taylor has his number.
Josh Taylor, that night, I think could have beat anybody. That night, he was so focused, and
I think he's got his number. So.
Okay, that's a fair statement. Now, the 140-pound division is fire. It's hot. Now Teofimo Lopez is moving up in there. There's talks of him sharing the ring with Arnold Barboza, possibly a rematch with Cepeda and Jose Ramirez. Now, where would you put Regis Prograis in that equation?
I'm gonna be honest. There's other guys that I really don't know. I don't watch boxing like I used to anymore because when it became more of a business, it just wasn't the same. I
Yeah,
mean, you got like 20 champions in one weight class.
that was my next question. Exactly.
So it takes to me it takes away from it. So I really don't watch it like I used to.
Besides yourself, what fighter do you respect the most that walked away when he still had some ammo left in him?
Wow. When I walked away, Father Time said that's it.
But Uncle Sam said you got one more fight.
That's tough question. Tough question.
Two fighters come to mind. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I can't answer that one.
I think of Marvin Hagler. He could have had a rematch with Sugar Ray for the money. I think of Michael Spinks. I think he walked away. I think he still had some fights left, and I would have loved to see him and Evander Holyfield share the ring.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Good one.
What heavyweight besides? I mean, there's a lot of heavyweights that, unfortunately, I hate to say they were that fighter. Very good, but never had the opportunity to win the heavyweight championship of the world, or they just had to fight the better man that day. What heavyweight comes to mind?
Repeat that question again now. I'm sorry.
Okay. There's always that fighter, and this is the heavyweight division. A very good fighter. It just wasn't his time. Every time he got a title opportunity, it was against either like a Tyson or Ali or a Norton. But so a lot of people thought he was the B side, but we know that he was better than the opportunity that was given to him. Had he got, like I'll say for instance, I'm thinking Razor Ruddock, one of the best heavyweights out there. I wish he would have got a title opportunity.
Well, when he lost the two Tyson fights, then when he lost to Lennox, I think that was
Lennox
it.
would surprise me on that one.
Yeah, so I think that was it. But I would have loved to see him get a title fight.
I would have loved to see him and Holyfield mix it up. But I was surprised that Lennox was able to stop him on, what was it, like Halloween or something, that second round. Yeah, and that was it.
Yeah.
There was no getting up from that. Now, besides Ron Lyle and George Foreman, what's one of the most battles that you've seen that went back and forth?
The Thriller in Manila.
Yeah, good call on that one. Do you remember? We'll say Michael Moore and gosh dang it, my name's it's going blank now. Smoke. What's the guy's name? My gosh, Burt Cooper. What do you say? No more ESPN fights. That was a great fight.
Yeah.
Burt Cooper, I believe, was also underrated. Just like my next statement is to you, Buddy McGirt. A lot of people seem to think that you are underrated when they mention the top 5 trainers out there. There's only a few that mention I'm one of them, to be honest with you. But it doesn't really stop your groove. It doesn't stop your march. You're going to continue to be who you are.
Well, listen. I'm an old school guy, and I get a lot of fighters telling me I'm old school, but I think old school is the best school.
I think so too.
And, there's fighters that be like, "Yo, buddy, you're too old school." I'm like, "Hey, listen, that's when we had the best fighters in the world, when the old school guys were around. Today, a lot of trainers don't want to lose their job, so they do things that a lot of old time trainers wouldn't do." It's sad but true, So, but I just got an old school way of thinking. Sometimes I make a little adapt sometimes to what the guys would like to try or do. But my mindset is a lot different.
When you said lose your job, 2 names just popped in my head: Abel Lopez, Mark Breland. Abel Sanchez. I'm sorry, Sanchez. Yes.
Those are two touchy subjects. They're both good friends of mine, so I'm gonna bypass that question.
I just think they got a raw deal. That's my statement. I think they're damn good trainers, and they care about their fighters, and they know, and they have a lot to offer the sport.
Without a doubt.
Exactly. I said Abel Lopez because I mentioned a childhood hero. This guy was a wrestler, man, so it just popped in my head.
Okay.
But yeah. So, hey, talking about that, let's talk about Triple G fighting this Saturday. Is there any chance that we can see an upset?
Next question.
Okay. You're like a politician, but that's okay. Okay, the return of Andrew Maloney. He's fighting this Saturday, ESPN, Top Rank Boxing. You got the Maloney brothers, Jason and Andrew. Andrew's coming back. He wants a title shot. What do you think adjustments do you think he needs to make if you followed his career?
I've never seen him fight.
Tough fighter from Australia. So you get your chance this Saturday to come and check him out.
Yeah, I'll be there Saturday.
That's right. So,
Yeah, I'll come.
okay. Is it okay? Oscar De La Hoya did it a few times. Sugar Ray Leonard kind of, did it a couple times. But Ryan Garcia, now with a different trainer, leaving Eddie Reynoso, does that help a fighter's confidence, or does it just you get a person where you're going to settle, or you just feel comfortable?
You know what, man? It's hard to say today because you don't know what these guys be thinking. So it's I don't know. I worry about me. I stay in my lane.
That's right.
Because now you say something, some people take it out of context. So I focus on me and my guys, and I wish everybody the best.
Those are the safest answers, but they're also the smartest answers, buddy. Right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, the last time I talked to you, I said Mike Rodriguez told me to tell you hello, man. And Mike's career's taken off. Now he's doing some commentating. He's getting behind the camera. And, hey, he's living the sport of boxing.
That's my neighbor. Mike's my man.
Mike's a good dude, man. Solid guy. I like Mike. You know why, buddy? Because he don't always agree with what I say. He'll always say...
Mike will let you know what's on his mind.
Exactly. Yes, he will. He will, and a couple of times, and, kick some knowledge to me. So I appreciate, how he's been in my life, and I appreciate, him being still a close friend. I actually texted him this morning, said, "How's everything going, bro?" He said, "Great." He said, "Never better." So, he's living the life, man. And actually, he's a gym rat too, man.
All right, well, tell him what's up, my neighbor.
I would definitely will tell him that. Now, I know a lot of people have talked about it. You're probably gonna bypass this question, man. But what did you think about the whole Chris Rock and Will Smith thing?
I believe where I come from, if a man's walking up to me not smiling on a stage like that, I got to step back and get ready because something's not right. If that's not part of the script, then I want to know why you're walking up on me like that. But it's a funky situation. But I really don't know what to say on that. I didn't hear about it till the next day because I didn't see it when it actually happened. But I believe that if a man starts walking towards me on a stage like that and he's not smiling, I'm putting the mic down and I'm getting ready for action.
Now, while you're conventional, what stance is it going to be? Unorthodox. What are you going to do? You're not going to show him anything?
I'm just going to step back and be in fighting position.
That's right.
I got the right foot in the back in case I got to turn one over.
There you go. Buddy, when you walk into your gym, I know sometimes you don't just hold the mittens, man. You have to, from time to time, let loose on the bag or the speed bag. Do you say to yourself, man, come on, just, you.
I don't hit nothing.
Nothing anymore.
I couldn't hit the floor if I fell on it. Only thing I do is I get up in the mornings and I run. That's it.
Well, there you go. There you go. So no celebrity boxing, no charity matches going on?
None of that. Nah.
Now, what did you think of I don't know if you had a chance to watch Hector Macho Camacho Jr. fight Julio Cesar Chavez. Was it about a year ago?
Next question.
Okay. When a fighter doesn't know when to walk away, you as a trainer, but if you still see something in him, does age matter to you?
Say that again?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
If a fighter has been asked to walk away, but yet you still see something in him, does age matter to you?
No.
So you never question a man's will?
No. But you got to look and see if he still has his legs and his reflexes. If he doesn't have neither one of those, If you don't have his legs, that's it. Game's over. Because your legs are your foundation. Once your legs go, it's a wrap.
That's very true. That's very true. Now listen. There's the late great Emmanuel Stewart. You got today's Robert Garcia. You got Buddy McGirt. And if you guys are all sitting at the table, and you probably already asked all these questions. Then you got Goosen and Eddie Reynoso. And if you could take one thing from Emmanuel Stewart, what would you ask him?
How did he get all those guys from crunk to punch so hard?
Oh my gosh, yeah. You know what? When I talked to him, he would always tell me, Richard, I don't train for decisions. And I remember I told him, I said, he had a fighter. I don't want to name his name right here. And I said, he's really lax, Tom. He really don't like. He goes, that's an understatement. He said, if he had the heart of Tommy, he said he would be He said he would be just as great as Tommy. Right. And you probably know who I'm talking about. And I said, have they ever sparred? He said, no. No, these guys don't spar. I would not allow that. And I said, well, this guy has a big left hand. He said, well, Tommy Hearns has a big right hand. So he did have Tommy's back, but he knew a fighter that had all the potential in the world, but just didn't quite have that strong work ethic.
Right.
So asking the question, how do you hit so hard? Growing up as a fighter, you were inspired by other fighters. Now, as a trainer, who inspires you? As the other trainers.
Eddie Fudge and Georgie Benton and Ray Alcel.
Why is that? What do you get from them? What inspires you about them?
You can't get no greater than that. There'll never be any trainers greater than those guys. Ever. In my eyes. Masters of the game. Great teachers. Anybody can get somebody in shape, but not too many people can teach a guy.
I agree with you.
That's the difference. Those guys are great teachers, and they get you in great shape.
I agree with you. So what does it take for a fighter to be trained by Buddy McGirt? He walks into your gym. He has everything that he thinks that he has to offer. When you sit down and tell him...
I tell every fighter, let's spend a week together.
Okay.
To see if we gel. And then if we gel, then we go to the next step.
Well, there you go. That's pretty safe to say. That's a great analogy. A week is good, and see what happens. See if you guys click together. Robert Garcia, he sometimes has some fighters. They'll go stay there in training camp. Different fighters. He gives them an opportunity, and
right.
So they can see too. Is this sport for me, or is this this guy worth looking at? Now, speaking of worth looking at, in Fresno, California, May 14th, they're going to have, it's like, I don't want to say Battle of the Badges, but you're going to have some peace officers. They're going to be strapping it on and getting in there and mixing it up with some other police officers. It's called No Town Throwdown 5 at the Tower District in Fresno, California, May 14th, 2022. Doors open at 5 p.m. The event starts at 7 p.m. And the Olympian heavyweight silver medalist, Richard Torres Jr., is going to be on hand. It's going to be a fun-filled event. Now, buddy, I know you live way, way, way over there, man, but any chance on the next time that we have a throwdown that you can come and be one of the guests there, or just, show up with your presence?
If the timing is right and I can do it, of course.
Okay. Hey, love to have you there, man, because I know you have a lot to offer. You two sentences that you say that you correct. It's like a baseball player. Somebody can go on there and say, okay, adjust your feet, and then walk away. And that's all that baseball player needed to hear. And I know you have a lot to offer these young trainers, these young fighters, with your knowledge, because there's not too many trainers that were great inside of the ring and also outside of the ring. And you happen to fit in both categories.
Thank you.
Any questions for me, buddy? I mean, because all your answers are pretty cut and dry, man.
I'm good, baby. I mean, I just got I got some sparring partners coming in. I got to go make sure that they get in here and check in. I'm staying at a hotel.
What?
I got Kovalov sparring partners coming in, so I gotta go check on, make sure they're here and they're safe and everything's good.
Okay, I'm gonna say one thing. Okay, I'm gonna say just one thing. Why didn't the Crusher throw that right hand against Canelo? It was cocked and it was there. I mean,
Because Canelo was countering with that devastating left hook.
okay, that answers that question. And we know what left hook caught him too.
Yeah.
Hey man, what do you got to say to all the fans and followers that watch and support Buddy McGirt?
I was going to say thank you for all the love and support, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, and much love and respect.
Buddy, I'm gonna have to send a Fighter's Voice T-shirt out to you, and I'm gonna have to be bugging you, man, because I'm gonna have to pick your brain every now and then when you got some time off, man, because your knowledge, I could just feel it, man, and I'm a sponge to everything you're saying. Trust me.
You got my number. Call me anytime.
I got both your numbers.
Call me anytime.
Hey, buddy, I appreciate the time. I appreciate you talking to everybody, and you know, there's a lot of support there, man. Hey, as always, it's a wrap. Fresno, California. Thumbs up for Richie.
All right, great.
Thank you.